Have you ever thought about how weather can affect and change a story, my friend? This concept hit home for me recently during one of my walks, as just as I was looking at this light gray cloud cover and the mist on the water, I was able to imagine being transported to a completely different place from the one that I know. And that actually ended up leading me down this rabbit hole where I figured out how to set up some things for a project that I've been brainstorming and wondering how to work out certain things, if not even coming up with whole new projects entirely because of it. But that's a side point, in that the main point I want to talk about is that I walk that path pretty much every other day, but a change in the weather is all it took to almost completely change the setting I was in. And that probably, of course, has a bit to do with my imagination, but just think back to how weather has made you feel in the past, or what a scene from a movie would be like if there was just a different kind of weather in the background, or it was set during a different time of day or whatever. And even slight variations in the weather can also change the story as well. For example, imagine a starless night, and maybe even the moon is covered by clouds, and it's almost pitch black there, and maybe there's a slight breeze and there's rustling going on, but you can't see what's out there. And you may even be in a place you wouldn't fear in the daytime, but now there's again that foreboding or that sense of unknown that's out there. Whereas being able to see the stars, even if they are millions of miles away, can lead to this sense of wonder because you see light up there. Or it may even just bring more foreboding at our size in this vast universe. So this also has a lot to do with our perspectives as well as how where we are in relation to the weather. For example, some people love to hear raindrops falling on the rooftop, and it even can help them relax and is like white noise to them, just comforting to have on in the background. Whereas others will get depressed or annoyed because of the same sound because it's just constant and going. And they may even be in the same storm, but they're having these two different reactions. But in bringing up the rain, even the difference between a light drizzle and a massive downpour can change where a scene is going. In one, someone may be running out to, well, feel the rain on their skin and just enjoy being alive and have a bit of fun and dancing in the rain. While in the other scenario, people tend to be pretty desperate to make sure they're getting inside quickly because there may be a flood coming or it's just washing away things and it's just constant and cold as well. But there even may be lightning in the midst that's just adding to more tension. Of course, lightning can also be used to set the stage for an exciting climax just by flashing in the background. Of course, that kind of begs the question why people don't try to get inside when the lightning is there, but it just sort of ups the ante a bit. And any severe storm can, for example, be used to make the location that may be ordinary, like a town or store, into this massive set piece for action and thrills, just because people now have to find a way to survive and make it out alive. Although even something like a slight breeze can also be used for not only humor, as things can fly into people's faces at inopportune moments, or they have to go chasing after their hats, where you can also have it be used for drama, in them having to chase down this single ticket that's blown away and they need to make it on time to the train, but the ticket is just out of reach and is constantly dancing away from them. Or maybe they've lost a important piece of information out the window and now they have to go looking for it and they can't find it. And it's all these different things just to do with how a single kind of weather phenomenon that we would kind of group together can affect us. Of course, what about just normal cloud cover during the day? In one scenario, we may have these exceptionally dark clouds bringing that sense of gloominess, like it's about to rain or storm, and is just waiting the right moment to break, and so there's this tension building for a climax of when everything's finally going to burst down. Or maybe there isn't going to be a break at all, and there's all this tension being built up because the moisture is actually needed. You want the rainfall to come, but it's not coming, so you just see almost a promise that's not coming. And so there's that desperation and fear and anguish that can come with it, just by almost seeing the same sight but having two different perspectives on what's you want from it, or what you hope doesn't happen, or on your hopes based on it. Or you could have it, for example, like on my walk, where the clouds, there is still light coming through even if it's muted. But this mist and fog are now giving this sense of mystery to ordinary views because there's sometimes this wall that you can't see past. And it's like, what is out there? Or are there things out there? And it can be really quiet as well. And that can also really be easily used to set the scene for some spooky or happenings as well as mysteries. But the spooky side is one genre I tend not to get into. Although one other thing I know that a little bit missed can be a great trick for is with special effects, and that it can like cover puppeteers or wires or even some After Effects or whatever it is for CGI and so forth, or even in games it can be used to cover loading times and so forth. And so it's just one of those things that can be used not only as a technique and tool for accomplishing something, but also as a way to set the mood, even if in a kind of unexpected way, in a sense. And then we can contrast those kind of muted views with a bright and clear day. Maybe it's the happy ending after this long, hard night of battle that you finally see the sun rise and the birds are chirping and so forth. Or maybe it's just signaling that the story or the scene is going to be light and happy and full of fluff. There isn't going to be much to worry about. Of course, since the daytime does give this clear view of things, and one example I think of is often being able to see the mountains in the distance and taking in those kinds of views. But it can also be used to contrast the deeds that some people will do in the daytime, and it's just sort of that stark difference that can completely change the tone of a story. And again, another example is you could have a storm raging on the outside, but since people are hunted together inside, there to be this wholesomeness and this relational value built in this kind of scene where you wouldn't expect it to be. And so it's that contrast in the weather can also completely make certain scenes more impactful just because it is that contrast. And honestly, since I've already made this a list, I'd be remiss to end without mentioning my kind of favorite type of weather, which is snow. And like most, there is that room for the contrast or the difference in them, as a blizzard can be used to set up drama and action, in that it's man against nature and a struggle to survive, or dip past a whiteout where you can't even potentially see your hands in front of your face, and the cold is bearing down on you. Whereas a gentle snowfall that's seen from the window can promise fun and joy outside with sleigh rides and building snowmen and snowball fights. Or just simply enjoying the warmth inside by the fireplace with a blanket and a cup of Toto. It's just sort of those different things that can happen. And this list is probably not exhaustive by any means, but I just felt like giving examples to show how something we may dismiss for being in the background can really set the whole tone of the plot, or even a scene with just a simple phrase even, like the detective threw on his coat before heading out into the drizzling rain. What kind of story does that phrase conjure for you? Or maybe you think I'm making weather out to be a bigger deal than it is. Whatever your thoughts, why not share them in the comments below? And if you like this video, feel free to share it with someone you think will like it as well. Anyway, I'm Jonah. You've been watching Lions Made Media, where we celebrate storytelling and all the forms it takes. Talk to you later, and have a great rest of your day.